Children, come, come. You've arrived at just the right moment. I've been looking for you.
Oh, what is it, Granny? Need any help?
Oh, no. You've done so much for Liyue Harbor already. In fact, my old friends and I have been putting our heads together to think of what sort of gift we might...
A gift? For Paimon?
Oh, child, you are so very modest. Uncommonly so, even. But you mustn't decline this gift. I simply won't allow it. When you traversed my old teapot in search of the cleansing bell, I heard your little friend mention that you often camp out. That simply won't do. Especially since I imagine you still have a very long journey ahead of you. Fortunately, I have not yet grown so old as to see my subspace creation. Oh, did my friends never mention that to you? Well then, it is a blessing we old folks once received from... I will not go into too much detail, but subspace creation is the ability to create a small, autonomous pocket world. The teapot that you entered previously was a little trinket created using that ability.
So, in the eyes of an Adeptus, creating a magic teapot world...
Oh, indeed, the teapot is nothing to boast of. One such as myself must depart from this realm to create a world of one's own. Rex Lapis, on the other hand, but that's enough nostalgia for now. The gift that I have prepared for you just...
That's right! Finding stuff's what we're good at.
Oh, settle down now, children. There's no need for you to go running hither and thither. What's more, I doubt that you would know how to find the materials I am searching for. Well, for starters, I require some shimmer soil from the banks of Dihua Marsh. You would have to dig downward, following the roots of the glazed lilies, and if you were lucky, but almost no one has been able to find shimmer soil in this manner since Dihua Marsh came to be the way it is. Even more difficult to find is smaragdus jadeite, which must be chiseled from the rock of the chasm. Or so it used to be, ever since the Blackcliff Forge opened for business. In any case, smaragdus jadeite is an adepti treasure, and the adeptal power within is not something that most humans can withstand. Extended contact with it is, in fact, harmful to... Goodness knows if that child will succeed in finding these items.
Well, since you're an Adeptus, Granny, the person you asked for help, they must be an Adeptus too, right?
Yes. I suppose she does.
She counts? How come there are so many Adepti in Liyue Harbor? We seem to bump into them all the time. If you...
Oh, maybe so. Who can say? A fair few of my old...
I'm back, Granny. Oh, I don't believe we've met.
Allow me to do the honors. This child here is Yen Fei. She's the one helping run some errands for me. Yen Fei, I believe you already heard of the Traveler and his traveling companion.
Of course, who hasn't? Much has been written about you in the Millilith's records. You became one of Liyue's most wanted after the Millilith marked you as a suspect following the incident at the Rite of Dissension. After which, you fought off the Millilith at Julian Karst and made before finally defeating an ancient god together with Granny and her associates, and subsequently being cleared of any and all suspicion by the Chiseng. What a shame. A shame that we didn't meet sooner. If we had, well, I can't say that I would have been able to clear you of suspicion immediately, but it certainly would have been less, embarrassing for you. Allow me to introduce myself once more. I'm Yenfei, a legal advisor. Got a legal problem? You can come right to me. Oh, yes, here's my business card. You'll find it has my contact details and office address. Keep it handy. If you have an urgent issue, just leave me a note at this address. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, I offer a very generous discount for first-time customers.
All right, Yenfei, all right. Let's get to the business at hand. I do not think these two are in any dire need of legal. You'll have to excuse Yenfei. She's always been like this. Ever the talkative one when it comes to her own affair.
Paimon was gonna ask the same question. You seem really
An adeptus? I guess. Kinda. My old man said he was one anyway. He mentioned that he once campaigned with Rex Lapis for a long old time, and then after that was all over, they had me, and once I was all grown up, the two of them upped and left on a journey, leaving—
Well, that's a bit casual for an adeptus. Aren't you guys supposed to sign solemn contracts to protect Liyue Harbor and all that?
Well, my dad did say that he'd talked it through with Rex Lapis, and that he was fine with it. Anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. So, Granny, I've gotten a hold of most of the stuff you asked for, except for Smaragdus Jadeite.
Is that so? Yenfei, are you sure you can't find some other way?
I know, Granny, you've told me 1,000 times already. Well, the chasm's definitely a no-go, but there's still a Hold on a moment.
Whoa, that's a really thick...
Commercial consultancy. Or Snezhn Crossel. A Snezhnayan merchant who once came to me with some legal queries on certain articles in the legal codices. If my memory— He mentioned that he was considering acquiring some Smaragdus Jadeite to make hairpins, and wanted to know if there were any legal— So, I guess I'll go look for him. With any luck, he'll have gotten his hands on some Smaragdus— Oh, you want to join me? I suppose that's no problem, but it's best if you just stand by and watch. If you—
Wow, an adeptus imploring us to avoid best we be a little more careful than usual.
Hello, Mr. Crossel. How's business been?
Oh, good, very good. All thanks to your advice, Miss Yanfei. What brings you here today?
You're too kind. I was simply doing my job. Now, I believe that the last time we met, you mentioned that you were looking to source some Smaragdus Jadeite to make hair—
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, in the end I did acquire— Miss Yanfei, might I presume that you have an interest in the hairpins? I must apologize, I've already rented them out to a lady named—
Wait, isn't Smaragdus Jadeite really rare? Aren't you worried about the hairpins getting—
No, I'm not worried in the slightest, because I signed a contract with Miss Zhiqiao before The contract makes it quite clear that if she loses or damages the item in question, in return, I included a clause that guarantees the Smaragdus Jadeite is genuine, with a penalty of 10 times the item's value payable by—
Guaranteed genuine, with 10 times the value payable if this claim is shown to be false.
Of course. This way, both the client and I have the assurance we need to ensure fair—
In that case, might you know where Miss Zhiqiao lives? We'd like to pay her a visit.
Oh, of course. She wrote her address down when we signed our contract.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Crossel.
My Whatever shall I do? Yes, that's me. Is there something I can help?
How do you do, Monsieur Chow? We understand from Mr. Crossell that you recently rented a My associates and I are very interested in them.
The hairpins. I can't lend them to you right now. I don't know how it could have happened. I always kept them right by my side. I spent so much money on them. If I have to pay their original value, there's no way My family is in the ore business too. But we now have a backlog of paid-up orders just sitting around. So we've been having to purchase some stock from... A big banquet is coming up in a few days, and several ore merchants I know of will be there. I need this opportunity to... That's what the hairpins were for, to... Well, to keep up appearances. But now that I've lost the hairpins, what will I do?
Why does Paimon have a sudden strong sense of déjà vu?
Would you really? I sent a commission to the Adventurers Guild, but I haven't heard anything back from them yet.
Hold on. Don't run off looking for the hairpins just yet. Monsieur Chow, would you let me have a look at the rental contract you signed?
Huh? Well, I mean, sure, I haven't...
Let me see.
That's right! Yanfei said she's a legal advisor, didn't she? Maybe she can help Juqiao some true. Though surely there must be a win-win solution.
Right. I finished reading the contract. The terms are very clear, and they do indeed stipulate that you must pay Mr. Crossell Furthermore, the contract also expressly states that the amount of compensation must take... And given the rarity of Smaragdus Jadeite, I fear that the final amount of compensation...
Even higher? Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Juqiao looks like she's about to faint.
However, all of this is assuming that it is indeed genuine Smaragdus Jadeite that was inlaid...
Did you really have to pause before saying that part? Anyway, the hairpins are lost, so how exactly would we... Whichever way you look at it, we've got to start by finding those...
Except that if we found the hairpins, there'd no longer be any need to check whether the Jadeite is genuine, would there?
Seems...
Please, Don't trouble yourselves over this. However much it is, I will have to pay it. My family are merchants, after all. It's vital that now that it's come to this, I really shouldn't keep Crossell in the dark any longer.
Yes, legally speaking, it seems this is the most sensible course of action. But before that, I have some questions about the hairpins. So hold on a moment, Monsieur Chow. When you first touched...
What did I feel? Well, I remember that the gemstone set into the... My family has seen much jade pass through its hands in the past, so...
Smooth to the touch. Fine. No, it's nothing. I just need to re-examine a few things. Let's head over to Mr. Crossell's.
Ah, Miss Yanfei, you've returned. With Miss Juqiao in tow, too, I see.
About that.
You lost them? Are you serious? Do you have any idea how expensive they were?
I'm sorry. Truly I am.
Mora, do you have any idea what I had to go through to get my hand... I just don't... Forget it. Talking won't bring them back. Since Miss Yanfei is here, I suppose we can just have her estimate the amount that needs to be paid.
No problem. But before I can give an official estimate, I'll need to do a little market research. Ah, yes, and if I may just confirm, it was in fact genuine Smaragdus Jadeite inlaid into the hairpins, correct?
Of course. Genuine article guaranteed, or I pay back 10 times the value.
All right, understood. I'll conduct some market research, and once I'm back, I'll provide an official assessment of the sum owed by Mr. Chow in compensation. Please wait here, Mr. Crossell.
Thank you very much. How could she lose my hairpins? She'd better pay every last mora that there were.
Looks like I'll have to find some way to raise that money.
Please wait, Mr. Chow. I have something to discuss with you. It's not convenient to speak here, so let's find somewhere that we can sit and talk in more detail.
Miss Yenfei, what is this about? Are you here to tell me how much I owe?
No. What I wanted to talk about is, there is a chance that the Orin laid on those hairpins may not be Smaragdus Jadeite after all.
What do you mean? Are you implying that you already sneaked off and found—
Obviously not. I'm no adventurer, let alone a member of the guild. I don't run thankless, time-consuming errands for a living. Let's just say I made some deductions. I don't know if Granny told you this, but Smaragdus Jadeite is found deep underground and contains very concentrated elemental. If mere mortals come into contact with it, well, they'll be sick in the best case. And in the worst case, they could even experience a dramatic change of personality. Mr. Chow, did you at any time feel unwell while the hairpins—
No, not at all. I felt perfectly fine the whole time. Not even the slightest bit unwell. I didn't feel anything.
Now that is strange. I noticed earlier that there were if I've deduced correctly, he may still have the Smaragdus Jadeite in his possession.
If that's the case, we should go confront him right now and expose his dirty scam right to his—
Absolutely not. If we were to confront him now, there's no way he would admit to it. Eventually, he would find some argument, and then he'd throw the Smaragdus Jadeite into the sea the moment we were gone. After that, he would simply insist that Mr. Chow pay up per the contract. He would lose nothing. Meanwhile, we would have to look under every stone in Liyue, hoping and praying that the hairpins do actually still exist somewhere in this world.
So vivid that Paimon thinks it might be experienced.
Oh, it certainly is. I've seen my fair share of situations like this, and brute force methods are certainly one way of resolving them. Fortunately, I have—
Well then, since you're so experienced in dealing with problems like—
Oh, that won't be a problem. But first, Mr. Chow, can I—
Huh? Does there have to be a contract for everything? Paimon can't even— It feels like Yanfei is even more concerned with them than a certain someone—
These are my formal terms of engagement. Everything prior to now has just been pro bono advice. But for me to investigate any further, I require a written Any work commissioned but not bound by a contract cannot be relied upon.
I understand. Then I will be glad to place this matter into your capable hands if you will take it, Miss Yunfei.
No problem. Just sign here, and I'll sign too. Okay. Now write your address here, and then and I'll also need your signatures on pages 5, 7, and on the very last page.
This contract has so many pages.
All right, that should do it. My fees are the same as always, and they're written in the contract. Have a look through.
I've had a read through. Everything checks out.
Well then, here's your copy of the contract. I will retain the other copy. Not for now, no. Despite how intractable this problem might sound, it will actually be quite straightforward. I don't believe you have been part of an investigation like this before, in which case, hopefully this should be quite the experience.
Miss Yunfei, I have to ask.
Because, as it happens, I'm currently trying to acquire some Smaragdus Jadeite myself. I noticed strong traces of whether he actually made it into an item of jewelry or not is a separate matter. But either way, it's a lead. Also, the idea of someone abusing the law to their advantage. But again, let's not dwell on this. Let's go to... Where can we find someone who processes... I've got it! Let's pay a visit to Chateau, the boss of the Jade Mystery. He's a professional when it comes to working with stone and ore. If Mr. Crossell had his ore worked on at all, Chateau would undoubtedly have been his first choice.
Why, hello there, honored customers. Welcome to... Oh, surely not more spurious claim.
No, nothing of the sort. Has a Snezhnayan merchant named Crossel enlisted your ore processing services?
A Snezhnayan merchant named I do remember that. He brought me a piece of ore. That was the first time I'd ever encountered it, so I had no way of telling if it was really Smaragdus jadeite or not. But if a customer insists, he was quite generous with his money too, so I didn't give it too much thought. I processed...
Do you have any leftover debris from your...
Why, yes. It was my first time encountering this ore, after all, so I kept a few loose shavings to study myself later.
Thank you, sir. We'll take a look at them.
If my eyes don't deceive me, the cross-sections and patterning suggest that... Yes, it's not particularly rare, nor is it especially valuable. I've heard it said that Smaragdus nephrite is in fact the outer layer of Smaragdus jadeite, though no one's ever proven it.
A thin layer of separation, huh?
If you must see for yourself, try examining these shavings for traces of elemental energy. Smaragdus nephrite is an entirely ordinary ore.
Is that so? Well, we might as well give... So, did you find anything? So they really are different. But wait, how come Jichao was able to tell what it was?
There's nothing special to it. It just so happens that I've come across a great many of these in my time. These two stones actually look very similar. Someone without a deep understanding of them would find it very difficult to tell them apart. There may be only a subtle difference for the casual viewer, but that translates to an astronomical difference in terms of the market price. And, I'm sure, a significant difference in the cost of having them carved into shape.
All right, let's focus up. We're going off on a tangent.
But, never mind, Shirto. Why would Mr. Croc...
Unusual actions have unusual reasons behind them. Let's take some of these shavings back to Chateau.
Miss Yanfei? Might I be so...
If you could just confirm for me once more, sir. Mr. Crossel did indeed claim that the ore he brought to your store was in fact
Yes, that's right. I still have a record of the job with me, in fact.
Then I have no further questions. But could I borrow the processing record and the...
Of course.
Oh, I have my reasons. Ah, yes. Please sign here on this document shall serve as signed proof that these stone shavings originated from the,
Yes, I see. Forgive me.
I wouldn't say there's been an incident, just a minor issue. Thank you, sir.
With this hard evidence to back us up, Crossel won't dare...
On the contrary, this is far from sufficient to build a case. If you want to make jewelry, you need a professional jewelsmith. Let me think. Jewelry. Aha! Got it! Sinxi. She often helps people to find a jewelsmith. Let's go pay her a visit.
Well, that was quick. How come you know so many people?
Because lots of people come to me for legal advice every day. As you know, Liyue Harbor is the city of contracts. And contracts, well, I should say laws, are very... But the amendments made by the Tianquan to our laws are unnecessarily complicated. How can I put this? As such, legal advisors like myself provide quite the popular service.
So you help them make sense of the law. But didn't you say that it's hard to understand and impossible?
Yes, well, that's no obstacle because I've memorized all the legal codices.
You memorized it?
You sound surprised. Knowing the law inside out is a legal advisor's bread and butter, you know? Oh, this has nothing to do with being an adeptus. I just like reading things.
Again, with that casual tone.
Well, that's that then. Let's go look for Sinxi.
Oh, Miss Yenfei, it's you. Has something happened? Did the clock...
Have no further trouble from then on? Yes, of course. I'm just here to ask you a few questions. Has a merchant by the name of Crossel asked you to put him in contact with a jewelsmith recently?
Krosel? Yes, I remember him. He's a merchant from Snezhnaya, no? The design of the hairpins that he gave me was quite intricate, so it took me some work to find someone who was up to the job. Eventually, I found an older... This order was on hold for a very long time, and only completed quite recently, which is why...
Doesn't seem like there's any evidence to be found here.
Miss Inksy, I'd like for you to confirm for me once more. When Mr. Crossel commissioned you to find him a jewelsmith, did he or did he not...
Yes, I'm sure of it. The hairpins were made using many expensive materials, and the asking price was quite high, so we had to put this transaction on record. Mr. Krosel wasn't very familiar with the necessary procedures, so I filed it on his behalf. I also kept a copy for my own records. See for yourself, the item is called Smaragdus Jadeite Twin Phoenix Pins. The inlaid gemstone is recorded as Smaragdus Jadeite. The document even has the official seal of the ministry on it.
Thank you, Sinksy. Now, could you let me borrow this document?
Sure, it isn't serving much purpose here anyway. I take it then that there's...
Nothing you need to worry about, just a minor issue. I'll return your document as soon as I'm done with it.
Why is everyone's first reaction always to assume someone or something is in trouble?
I believe we have almost all the evidence we need. We just need to make one last trip. Let's go to Boo Boo Pharmacy to speak with Dr. Baiju.
The weirdo with the snake around his neck? What do you want to speak to him for?
Because only he can provide an authoritative statement confirming that Smaragdus Jadeite is harmful to the human. Once we have this final piece of evidence in our hands, we can wrap this case up.
Join the Adventurers Guild.
My, to what do I owe the pleasure? Though I'm afraid that if you're looking for our little Chi-Chi, she's... And if it isn't Miss Yenfei as well. Now that's an even rarer honor. What business brings you here, might I inquire? Some shop...
No. I'm here this time to ask if you're familiar with Smaragdus Jadeite.
Smaragdus Jadeite? Why, yes, there is some information about it included in the 6th commentary on the 7 Mountain Treatises states that this substance springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster. It is abundant in elemental energy, so if someone without a vision is in contact with it for a prolonged period, best case scenario, they fall ill. Worst case... Anyway, I'm sure you didn't come all this way just to chit-chat. Knowing you, Yenfei, and given the specific... I suppose that you're about to ask me to write an official affidavit attesting to the pharmaceutical peculiarities of Smaragdus Jadeite?
That is indeed the case. If you would be so kind, Dr. Baiju.
No trouble at all. It's just a single document. Won't take me a moment. I would mention, though, that you are not the only one who's developed a curiosity for Smaragdus Jadeite recently. But after I gave him my reply, his expression shifted to one of remarkable disappointment. I wonder, Miss Yenfei, if your pressing business...
You needn't concern yourself about that, Dr. Baiju. Thank you for penning us that document.
You're too kind. Take care now.
Baiju guy is as weird as ever. Is it just Paimon, or does it feel like he was fishing for something back there?
Dr. Baiju's always been like that. Well, we have the evidence we need. Let's go find Mr. Crossel.
Miss Yanfei, have you finished your investigation? I trust you will now be in a position to assess the compensation due.
Yes, my investigation is indeed concluded. I can now.
Wonderful. Well then, please, could you do the honors, Miss Yanfei?
Of course. According to the stipulations of the contract, Mr. Crossel, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original transaction price in Mora.
Sure. Wait, what? Me pay her? Surely there's been some kind of mistake, Miss Yan.
Not at all. According to my investigations and the material evidence that we've gathered, the substance claimed to be Smaragdus Jadeite that was inlaid within the Smaragdus Jadeite twin. Now, the contract states very clearly that 10 times the price shall be paid should the article not be genuine. Accordingly, you are liable for this sum, which is payable to Mr. Chow in Mora.
Material evidence? What material evidence? Why, Miss Yanfei, you cannot frame me like this. I spent a huge sum to obtain that Smaragdus jadeite, and yet you claim that the ore inlaid on the hairpins is somehow fake? I demand to see your evidence.
Indeed. Only a testimony from an expert witness involved in the processing of the ore can serve as an authoritative assessment of whether it is genuine. Traveler, please produce the evidence in question. This is a processing record from the Jade Mystery, along with stone samples and an affidavit signed by the business owner, Chateau.
Seriously? Even the boss there couldn't differentiate between Smaragdus jadeite and Smaragdus nephrite. How does this prove anything? In any case, Smaragdus nephrite is the outer layer of Smaragdus jadeite. So I had him cut away the nephrite, he returned the valuable jadeite core to me, and some nephrite samples remain in the store. What am I missing exactly?
That's an unsubstantiated belief.
Well, your claim that my ore is fake is just as unsubstantiated. And we are here to talk about evidence, aren't we?
Ugh. Looks like our first piece of evidence didn't convince him at all. Seems like he came prepared. What should we do next?
Hard evidence, something legally binding. We have just the thing. Show him, Traveler.
This document proves that my hairpins are the real deal, doesn't it? This is the Ministry's seal, after all. It shows that the ore inlaid on the pins is indeed Smaragdus jadeite.
Our second piece of evidence didn't work either. And this guy's getting more belligerent by the second.
You know, you could be right. Perhaps the hairpins are the real deal after all.
Of course I'm right. All the evidence shown supports my story.
Well, hang on a moment now, because I do recall one final piece of evidence that we haven't revealed yet. Traveler, would you do the honors? This shall serve as decisive proof of our case.
What's this?
Smaragdus jadeite springs forth from stone marrow within the mountains and will bring disaster to any mere mortals who touch it. Sustained contact with Smaragdus jadeite over a prolonged period will, in less serious cases, cause a mild malady, while in serious cases, the patient may suffer a dramatic change of personality and fall seriously ill. Mr. Crossell, were you aware of these peculiar properties of Smaragdus jadeite?
I had no idea.
No idea, you say? I'd guessed as much. But for you to have rented out such a dangerous item, I'm afraid that this falls outside the scope of my work, but within that of the Ministry of Civil Affairs. However, I'm sure that the Ministry will be relatively lenient considering that, don't worry, Mr. Crossell, I will make sure that all the evidence presented here will... I trust that you'll give them your full cooperation in their investigations.
What? Wait! I knew.
Oh, so you knew? Oh, dear Mr. Crossell. But if you knew of Smaragdus jade...
Huh? No, The hairpins aren't actually
inlaid with genuine Smaragdus jadeite? Is that what you were about to say? You do understand, Mr. Crossell, that this means that you will have to pay Ms. Sir Chow 10 times the original price in Mora? Mr. Crossell, your answer, please. My client and I are waiting.
Yamp, he's seriously intimidating right now. It's like she's a different person.
I admit it. I confess. The ore I had inlaid on those hairpins was... But I'm a victim in all of this too. I invested a great deal of time and money into acquiring that small amount of Smaragdus jadeite, in the hope, but after receiving it and carrying it around for a few days, I started to feel extreme discomfort. I couldn't sleep a wink, or I went to Boo Boo Pharmacy to get myself checked out, only to discover that this sort of stone cannot be worn as jewelry. That's why I had another pair of hairpins made from Smaragdus nephrite, which is almost indistinguishable from Smaragdus jadeite. I kept the real Smaragdus jadeite in a specially made box. I daren't touch it again. I was worried that someone would see through it, which is why I only dared to rent them out, not sell them. And then to top it all off, Zhi Qiao lost the hairpins after I rented them out to her.
Exactly! Exactly! If they weren't the real deal, why'd you make her pay so much?
I didn't want to either, but when I purchased that Smaragdus Jadeite, some of my business partners found out. I knew they'd be watching closely to see how much I could make off it. If word got out that I sold a pair of fake hairpins, then...
All right, let's cut the appeals phase right there. I failed to see what bearing any of this has on your transaction with my client. According to the contract, you must pay Mr. Chow 10 times the original...
10 times?
Crosel looks like he could faint any second.
As for me, according to my contract with Mr. Chow, 20% of that sum will go to me.
20%? That's as much as I spent on that Smaragdus Jadeite.
There's no need. It's fine. You don't have to pay me that much, Mora. Even if the Smaragdus Jadeite on those hairpins was fake, I still bear responsibility for losing.
Ms. Chow, you...
However, Mr. Crossell, since you have no use for that chunk of Smaragdus Jadeite, why don't you give it to me instead?
What? But I... All right, then. This cursed rock's brought me enough...
Miss Yunfei, I'll turn the Smaragdus Jadeite over to you. I trust that it will...
Well, that's not quite how the rules say this should go. But whatever.
Thanks so much for your help this time, Miss Yunfei. When you have the time, I'll be sure to visit...
Oh, come on. No need to stand on ceremony. Now, if I may confirm this again...
Well, yes,
Well then, that's good. Mr. Crossell, it seems that my client has no further claims against...
Is that so?
Actually, Mr. Crossell, I'd like to talk business for a second, if I may. I could see from the hairpins you produce that you're very skilled in jewelry design. My family, on the other hand, works in the ore business, and if we could join forces, your jewelry designs and our choice ores, I think we could do some fun...
Let me think for a moment.
Well, that's that. And we've got the Smaragdus Jadeite that Granny wants too. All's well that ends well, eh?
Exactly. Usually when someone tells us they've lost something, we end up searching all over the place for it. Even though the solution didn't involve...
The right solution depends on your perspective on the problem. The objective of my client, Mr. Chow, was to reduce her liability to pay compensation. So, rather than looking high and low for some hairpins, prove an adeptus. Speaking of, you took part in that battle, didn't you? And Liyue Harbor is now a city ruled by humans. The title of Adeptus means precious little to me compared to my job as a legal... In any case, don't you think that the Liyue Harbor of today needs legal consultants?
Paimon can think of someone who would definitely disagree with your reasoning.
Well, since we got what we came for, it's time to pay Granny a visit. I bet she's been on tenterhooks for a while now.
You've returned. How did it go? Were you able... Good. Then we have all the
Well, if we're all set, Granny, I'll get going now. Got a ton of clients waiting for me back at the office.
Oh, you. All right, then. Go see to your business. Granny should be able to...
I'm off then. Bye! Oh, yes, Traveler. Make sure you don't lose the business card I gave you. I've been looking into the laws of other nations as well. If you should ever bump into any trouble with the law, come find me directly.
Come now, child. Are you leaving or are you not? If you have no wish to leave, perhaps...
I'm leaving! I'm leaving!
That child. Goodness knows where she learned to be so rambunctious. Indeed she is. Liyue has changed. Yanfei might be overly garrulous, but she is also the most... Liyue is not the same place I once... All right, then. Let us speak of this no more. Back on top...
Oh, Paimon's so excited! How is it?
It is but a single tea... There we go. This serenity pot is all yours now. Hold it firmly. If you were to drop it, oh goodness, take these blueprints with you as well. You'll need them if you wish to make your teapot a little more...
Wait a minute, Granny! How exactly are we supposed to use this tea?
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I've already arranged for a certain little helper to...
Wow! This teapot seems even bigger inside than Madame... Huh. But there's just a whole load of nothing around it. Hey! There's a perfectly good house right over there! What still? Why is it so empty here apart... Oh, wait a second. What is that?
Well, it seems that we have a visitor.
It's a huge finch!
Excuse me, I am not a finch. I am a teapot spirit, and you may call me, hang on a moment. Oh, call me. I suppose you may call me Tub.
So you're the little helper Madame Ping mentioned?
Madam Ping? Oh, you must mean Ping. You may leave all matters regarding the upkeep of this realm to me. Your journey may be far from over. But at least this way, you will not want for a comfort. Though it is the Adepti who create realms such as this, they generally do not have the time of day to attend. Thus, we teapot spirits were created to help guard their realm. You may consider me a butler, if you will. Now, allow me to explain this. Have you any blueprints on you? Specifically, blueprints with beauty. As long as you have a blueprint, you can refashion this realm however...
Blueprints? Oh, that's right! Granny handed us some when she gave us the teapot, didn't...
Yes, these are the blueprints I'm talking. Just commit the image of the objects to memory and prepare the necessary material. Then simply release the thought from your mind and the...
Wow! Is that all it takes? Then we could build a whole city inside.
I doubt it. A golden-eyed adeptus he said that even though subspace creation is a product of adeptal power, this world is not a true one after all. It provides merely a moment of...
A golden-eyed adeptus? Paimon wonders who can...
I hardly remember myself.
What's more, well, let's not dwell on that. Have a look around. If there's anything you would like to ask,
Have you been well? Strange anecdotes. Rumors of evil spirits? If you ask me, this realm isn't as cool as the snowy mountains. But I don't need to worry about being scorched by the sun. I can concentrate on training, since there's no need to worry about the effects of my yang energy. If I do, I have to carry a parasol around and keep an eye on the sun. Anyway, thank you for inviting me to such a cozy place. If you need anything from me, I'll... Have you been well? Strange anecdotes. Alright. I actually just had an infuriating It went like this. Not too long ago, I heard someone talking about a book called Anecdotes of Demons. Who would have thought that this book was all about some dastardly, immoral villain? It was really hard to control my anger. It took half a day to get my breathing and blood pressure under control. That's not it. What made me angry was, how could there be such an atrocious person on this earth? If I ran into them, I'd definitely... Whoa. Whoa. Calm down. You mean, this person isn't real? But the plot's twists and turns felt like they were unfolding right before my eyes. You don't mean... I mistakenly believed? I'm sorry. I made a fool of myself.
Maybe you're not used to the place at the moment, but once you've If you ever have any questions... Maybe you're not used to the If you ever have any...
little close.
I ride on wind and cloud alike.
Rain outlines your fate.
By royal decree.
Unexpected, but welcome.
Witness the power of Gugwa. Huh?
Oh, it's revealed like...
It was worth the trouble. But how?
Rain outlines your fate. Huh? Rain cutter.
Midnight Phantasmagoria. Time for retribution!
No, my sword. Body and mind.
A touch of frost. Objects like this may prove useful when purging evil spirits. Unexpected, but welcome. One with my blade. Objects like this may prove useful when purging evil spirits. I ride on wind and